I probably, as I coached, I could have made it more of a, I'm sure I could have made it more systematic. And I did ask Chris for some advice when it came to that, because just my organization skills, like a lot of it was repeat customer, like students that just came and liked my style, the way I went about it. Just a lot of watching me, absorbing. Like I was definitely open to suggestions. If they were totally cold and didn't want to do anything, I would basically I'd be okay with that. I'd be like, all right, fine. You want to watch me for an hour, or just, tag along and, come interject at any time you want. I don't give a fuck if you interject at, in the middle of a conversation with the girl. You can do, I made it very much like custom tailored to what the student wants, unless it's totally ridiculous. I've also been, handed back the check and said, listen, I do not think at this time I can really help you or give you what you're looking for. And the guy's like, no, I insist, take the money. I'm like, I do not think. There's certain people I definitely had to turn down because I just didn't feel like I was able to really help him. Some were just,
as in they're not ready.
Yeah, just certain people were like, one guy was like missing hands and fingers, and I hate to say that was like, he had so many mental problems that I just felt like it was way over my pay grade. I'm like, dude, you think you should see someone, a professional doctor? Maybe you misread this. So I was just like, again, this was a rarity that I actually did turn down money and say, I do not think I could help you with this. So that might happen one or two times, but I don't know. It was just a gut feeling that this kid was way past. You're just so psychologically damaged. And there was a language barrier as well. He also had physical, like he was missing ligament, like parts of his fingers. He had a lot of mental and physical issues that I just felt, dude, I apologize. I don't think I'm going to be able to help you really,
Okay, here's my question for you. Because I watched quite a few of your videos recently. You went on this like beautiful fucking rabbit hole rant, which by the way, I love rants. I love rabbit hole. I've been obsessed with your content, dude.
Thanks, dude.
And you were talking about not wanting to be the expert and how you're just like, I'm Scotty the man. Like a lot of you think of me as like Scotty the expert. You got to understand, like, I'm not immune from I'm not immune from the tribulations of life.
Right.
I'm just Scotty. Was there a sense, and is there still a sense that people will come to you and they're like, oh, wow, like, look at all this cool stuff Scotty can do. He must be God. He must be able to just like snap his fingers and give me everything he has. Like he just can transform my entire life because he's Scotty. Is there this weird sense of almost like cult worship? You know what I mean?
There could be. Yeah, absolutely. And this is why I do think I was a good fit with, working under someone who was very good at putting these things into words and explaining to these guys, like categorizing this stuff basically, and just putting concepts behind what I'm doing, what I'm trying to convey. I think it's just simple. It dumbs it down for people. And sometimes it helps me to understand like what I'm doing better. It really does. So me and Chris, I think we're a good fit. And then even working with Brad P was a good fit because he was very systematic, like his whole approach. He was a very smart guy, like a social worker. And dude, he just had it like, but I'm going off on a rant right now. Your question was...
Go off on a rant. That's what this is.
I know, but your primary question was what again? You said like, why, there's a sense
like,
of...
do people see you as a cult, like a cult leader? Not a cult leader, like, you know what I mean? Like people see you as god. Like Scotty. Yes. Yes. Yeah. You and Chris, but I think because you didn't write for his website, with Chris, it's like you can get in his head. He has it all laid out. He's like, here's my fuck-ups, here's my flaws, here's why I'm not perfect. I'm just trying to, do the best. But I think because you weren't on the website as much, there's just videos of you and shit. Everyone's like, wow, Scotty must be a god. And then Chris is like his disciple or something.
I'm like the Wilt Chamberlain of like the pickups community or something. I have no idea. Like everybody's like, did he score his 100 points? Is he real? Is this guy, Chris, tells stories about him a lot and says I learned from him. But like, I just didn't. That's why he wanted me active on the forums, which I did up until a point. He was willing even to pay me to just, stay on the forums, make like 1 or 2, 3 posts a day, which I was doing for quite a bit. But we were on the similar like trajectory in terms of when he quit. I didn't even know that. Like when he stopped and retired or whatever, like we were around the same time when I think I hung it up as well. Because I was moving down to Florida. I didn't even know at the time it was Georgia. And he was like, all right, cool. We were on board. He's like, I'm going to put a whole. I'm going to put something up on my website about what you're offering, an exclusive, coaching one-on-one with Scotty down in. He's going to pick a select few down in Georgia where he's moving, or Florida. And then I had this like, dude, I was fully committed. And then I had this like revelation in the middle of the night. I woke up in like sweats. I'm like, I can't continue to do this, because I was like, it was like The Godfather, like it's dragging me back in. And I was like, I was in recovery and I was going to the rooms at the time, but I was like, I really love this whole thing. I'm about to let go of like a lot of it right now. And I didn't want to, but something. Then I contacted Chris the next day, like all emotional. He's like, dude, I'll take it down. No worries. He's like, no big deal. I'll just take it down and, focus on your recovery and getting sober. So that, that comes first. So.
Did you feel like women and alcohol were like so tied for you? Is that why? Like you couldn't separate the two of them?
No, I did at times. I often separated them at times, but I think I've always been like actively using some sort of substance. Like the moment me and Chris like locked eyes, I feel like at the pickup mansion where he's like, what PEDs are you taking? Like what, performance, all sorts of like, what gear. He had a word for it, like code for like, what do you, do you take anything? What are you on? And like, we immediately just started that conversation, and he introduced me to kratom. He introduced me to a lot of different supplements. I was using like some very mild painkiller at the time that like no one really heard of, he was like, oh fuck. He's like, it's not even really good for game. At first, when I first tried it, I mean, I don't give a fuck. I could just say it on air. The name of the drug is like Nubane. Probably most people don't even know what it is. It's not even like a heavy duty controlled substance. It was very much big in the bodybuilding industry, in the community. Like everybody was doing this stuff, and it was intravenous actually. So it made it appear as if it was more hardcore than it is, but you can't overdose on it. You can't, but so he's like, damn, I don't even think he heard of it at the time. He did some research on it, and I was definitely full blown, like it depended on it, obviously. And Chris gave me a lot of different alternatives like kratom and things to get off of the Nubane, which was easy because that was a pain in the ass, dude. Because like I said, it was intravenous, and I was always carrying stuff on me in bathrooms and going like, it was a hassle, dude. And it was like, yeah, that first time I tried it, or the first go around, it was like ecstasy or something. It was amazing. I was social. I felt great. It was like freed me from this little nervous, insecure ball. And like I felt like I met my friends for the first time that I grew up, my childhood friends. I'm like, wow, I'm so open. I can express myself. This is the best hangout session we've ever had. And then once that leaves a mark on you like that, like it had me. That was my first like love, dude. That was my first love. It really was.
I feel like that's so unbelievably common in like, not just like getting women and getting laid and all of that, but just maybe in self-improvement in general, or for like this kind of community of guys that are just trying to like maximize their efficiency, you know what I mean? And have these big ambitious goals. Like substances are so fucking appealing, man, because it's like, are you telling me if I take kratom or modafinil, that's another one that people take, are you telling me if I just try some of this shit, I can be more social, I can go out there and actually get my goals quicker? And at first it's so unbelievably helpful, but I feel like you can get into a point where it's like you just become dependent on it. And I'm cautious to ever say something's bad. I'll leave that up to each individual person to say whether it's good or bad for them. But
you can ask. I mean, do I think it's bad? I'm
not saying that, man, because I don't know that I would ever say something's bad. Like it's each person can say that, but like I would say something like this. This isn't the way that I want to phrase it, but like, not do you regret? I guess here I'd say it like this. Are you glad that path led you to where you are right now? Like, how do you feel about that period of your time?
Yeah, I think what it did, it was like, it took away a lot of, like, my memory was not as good. Isn't that like one of the benefits of taking like nootropics and stuff like that, or Alpha Brain or some of these other supplements nowadays, is so that you're sharper and your memory is like on point. I was struggling during the podcast with Chris to remember some of the interactions, or like a lot of my approaches or a lot of my pulls. That's why I was at the time like logging a lot of that. They wanted to document some of your we would call like reports or whatever, like your lay reports, and you put it on the forum. And because I was losing count at some point, and then dude, I'm living with my parents. Like there's something on my bulletin board. It's like each girl's name and like just jotting them down at first. Keeping track of all of these women became like, it was wild, bro. So I had to do that. I forget. I really don't. I would be lying to say if I remember like a good 30% is probably just wiped away unless I really go into solid, like if I made a real point to try to remember every hookup, every lay, I don't know. I feel like a lot of it is blotted out, dude.
Do you feel like at some point it's less satisfying? And I'm saying that because for me, it became like less satisfying at some point when I got to the point where it's like, I can't even remember half of these women. It just almost felt like something I was just kind of going through the motions with for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah. I would
like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely, man. It wasn't that satisfying, but I really didn't have like an alternative. And to this day, I still feel like I don't have like a great alternative. I'm still like mapping things out. And I don't know if that will ever really go away. I would hope so, because it brings along of like restlessness as well. There's a lot of like anxiety just tied to always trying to map something out or figure out like what your next move is. There's never a sense of just, aha, like I'm good now, or like a feeling of being okay. Despite whatever like results I'm getting now or then. Yeah, but at the time, so I wouldn't say I am more like advanced or something now. I do feel more mature in a sense to be able to, or I'm intrigued by taking on some coaching and getting back really involved in it, because you don't know what you're actually going through until you really get pulled out of that rabbit hole. And you're like, your parents like, yeah, you've been in like solitary confinement basically for like 7 years. You've no physical contact with anyone, and no exaggeration really, in and out of psychiatric units and stuff like that. So now I'm intrigued that I'm on the other end of all of that I feel like my health is in good condition. I'm in better physical condition, and absolutely want the desire and urge to like sleep with women and have a girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, because that too is also confusing at times. You know what I mean?
About that.
Yeah,
that's a process I've been going through. Yeah, man, for the last like 2 years or so. Because in the early days, all I cared about was like getting laid. I just want to get laid. I want to get laid. I want to get laid. Like that was the way that I phrased it. Yeah. And yeah, I went through this period where I was like, I don't know if this is what I want anymore. Like, I still like the sex.
Yeah.
I like the intimacy. I like the connection. I think you phrased it best, and let me read this out. You said this in a video. I've been with 3 women lately. They brought about a lot of healing within me. We have a lot of power within us to transform each other and heal each other just by physical touch and affection and care, holding, hugging, kissing, things of that nature. Yeah. That spoke to me, man, because maybe like, I don't know, 2 years ago, like maybe not even that long ago, 1.5 years ago, I started going through the same sort of stuff where I was like, I don't know if I care about just getting laid. I think I want something deeper. And obviously, I've had a girlfriend that entire time. My girlfriend, Imogen, we've been together for about 5 years at this point. And I'm very like deep with, love her to bits, but we sleep with other girls together. And for the first, 3 years of it, it was just like, let's get laid, let's get laid, let's get laid. And I started getting to this deeper point of like, I don't know if getting laid is like the vibes that I want to put out into the universe, so to speak. Because I think when you do that, you filter in girls who just want to get laid, which is great. Like, if you're at that point, that's fucking fabulous. I think the point that I'm getting to, though, is like, I'm on some deeper core shit now where it's like, I want to put out the vibes of I'm looking for something longer term. I don't know what that is. And I'm in the same sort of position as you. It's like, I don't know what you call that. Maybe we don't have to call it anything, but
you're also
is that like roughly where your headspace is at?
Yeah, roughly. I mean, you're also in a very advanced like relationship, I would think, like where you have a deep relationship enough trust with your girlfriend to be sleeping with other women. That's a very advanced position. Yeah, I've had girls I've dated where they were definitely like down for whatever I said, like, so to speak, where you were really in a position to do stuff like that. If that indeed was, bringing other girls in the picture, bringing other guys in the picture. I've had situations like that for sure. But Yeah, it's interesting now. Like immediately, girls are, or maybe it's subconsciously, but a lot of girls are obsessed with the labeling and what we are, and we don't go. There's no school for this, like defining. There's no defining what does a girlfriend mean to you specifically. What does that entail? And some girl will give one answer. She'll say it means you chose me and you have all of me and this and that. So each girl may have a different answer. It's very subjective what those labels mean to each other. But one thing is for sure, I know it's really like important to these women. It really is. And the ones lately that I've been encountering, I'm like, man, was it this bad before I got back into it? I'm like, it seems like it's even more important now. Like, what are we? How quickly? I have now this one girl I am speaking to on a daily basis who I've been sleeping with. She's pretty advanced or like psychologically mature, and she seems pretty emotionally stable. And she does not really, not yet, I don't want to jinx it, but she seems very like nonchalant about the whole putting pressure on what we are and giving it a label right away. We're just enjoying each other's company and just kind of like seeing where it goes,
The way I would phrase it is like, you're the king of screening. You've always struck me as like the king of screening, right? Like that's fucking Scotty. Chris too, sure. But you're just like, here's what I want. In the past, you were always screening for like sexual availability and nothing else. Like obviously she has to be attractive enough and not completely psychotic, but you were really good at screening for sexual availability. Like, are you down to hook up like ASAP?
Yeah.
I feel like you just apply the same skill, but you go, I'm looking for a girl who's nonchalant. I'm looking for a girl who doesn't want labels. And I'm going to screen as effectively and as much of a sniper as I used to be back then. I'm going to do that with this thing. Like, this is the same fucking skill. Even Chris talked about that. He had an article where he said, like, you can screen for whatever the fuck you want. If you want to screen for a woman who's into sports, you just screen for that. A woman who's into the party scene and drugs, you just screen for that. I feel like at least it's the same. Because I agree with you, bro. Like, a ton of women definitely want labels. I think a ton of guys do too. We just never got to meet them because we're dating them. But there's plenty that don't give a shit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I do think no matter what, whether we like it or not, we're dealt with the conditioning of the past. We're dealt with the conditioning of how we were brought up. We're dealt with the conditioning and culture around us. Like that shit is there, whether we're like Scotty or you're a killer or you're Andy. It doesn't matter. That we are all faced with the conditioning of the past and our history and our parents and our society and school. And dude, it's like you see your neighbor. She's, oh, that's my wife. You've come here like absorbing everything like a sponge, and you see your neighbors, they're married and this and that, and they're always asking questions. This is my wife. You're being introduced to people as you show up here, and this is my husband. So you're like, I want one of those. Or what else is there? Everybody appears to be, an item or a partner. Like, dude, what else is there? And then you all of a sudden something blows my mind. I hear like an audio from this guy Pheromone Kid who's like pulling girls left and right. It's like I was like, whoa, like that's crazy, man. That blew my mind right there. I remember listening to those CDs like daily because my job was also very much conducive to like listen. I was a driver for my father, so it was very much custom tailor. I would spend sometimes 8 hours making pickups for him and dropping parts off, but I had a lot of time to listen to audios and things like that, and I was just absorbing like as much as I could from this one particular guy, the Pheromone Kid, who was he wasn't a pickup guy, but he was interviewed by Brad P. I think he was like a musician or something like that, but he was really known for his quick pulls and that nonchalant attitude. And I just loved a lot of his, never met him or anything like that, but I just felt like I listened to him so much that I did absorb a lot of what he was saying and how he was communicating. I remember Chris was like, dude, you even sound like him at this point. And he was probably right. I took in so much of him, and I was after being so programmed and conditioned growing up and then listening to this guy, I was like, this is it, bro. I want to do with what this guy's doing, because I always felt like I had a lot of making up to do. The circle. Yeah. The circle I did grow up with in high school, like they were getting laid. They did have girlfriends. And I was just like, I was nervous. I did have opportunities even, but I was really scared. Like I was scared. I was very body shaming or conscious of my body all the time. So I was just a late bloomer. I mean, at the time, I felt like 19 was out of high school to get laid. So once I got laid from, I would say 19 to so-called retired with Chris back in 2014, that whole stretch, I was really much like all the way in, like ready, going to workshops. Even when I did have so-called girlfriends, because I'm still to this day confused by labels and what they mean and the significance of them. And are we poly? Are we monogamous? It's like there's still things that come up. So those relationships, when people ask me, have you ever been in long-term? Yeah, but I was still keeping my eyes and learning and trying to build more confidence, just like the next guy. So
you strike me as someone who's like not one for labels. Like I'm not either, by the way, because I fully understand the number of questions you get at the start when it's like you and your girlfriend are having threesomes with other girls, but not guys, and you don't sleep with people outside of each other. It's only together. And is she okay with this? And are you okay? Like, what's the label? People struggle to put a label on that. It's like, is that called a one-way open relationship? Is that called a threesome relationship? Like, what the fuck is that? What do you even call that? And dude, I just can't do labels. I don't think I've ever been able to do labels. I'm sure you get this too, bro. People will be like, are you left wing or are you right wing? And it's like, I'm just me though. Like, why do I have to be one or the other? I'm just me. I feel like, especially in dating, man, labels are just so unbelievably confusing because they come with a set of rules and shit and expectations. And you're like,
it literally is. You're absolutely right. I'm just piggyback off that quick. I mean, like it applies to work. It applies to just, it's just the overall conditioning. What we are, what do you do? What do you do for a living? It's all tied into that. Really. It really is.
Labels are how we define stuff. Like, they serve a purpose, you know what I mean? It's like, that's a tree, that's a cloud, that's a person. If we didn't have labels, it would take us fucking forever to be able to talk to each other. Like, you wouldn't be able to, because they wouldn't be able to say that's a tree and you'd have an idea of what a tree is. But at some point, it's almost like they become
more important. Yeah, or more
like the label is the only thing that fucking matters. Yeah,
or more important than the actual substance. Like if someone was watching me in action and the other coach or whoever, Chris, breaking down to the student or whatever, what he's doing. Oh, that's what we call that, but that's not the actual thing. What he's doing right now is that is the substance behind what we discuss. That is screening. That is he's that type of shit. So like, we could get lost in the system and the lines as opposed to like how you're coming across and making it clear your intention and what you want from the girl, really.
There's so much nuance under the word screening or any label, really. And that's kind of the point that I'm saying. Like, if someone says to you, what are we, boyfriend or girlfriend? It's like, what does that even mean, though? Like, what does that mean? You said it before. It's like, to one woman or one guy, boyfriend and girlfriend might mean we see each other 3 times a week and we go out on road trips and we show each other all of our friends and all of that. To someone else, boyfriend, girlfriend might mean we spend every single day together and you're not allowed to look at any other woman and you have to love me and you have to meet my parents and all of that. Or we have to move in together. It's like the labels are just so shit, man, especially when you start getting into more or less mainstream stuff, like you're dating multiple people. Like, is that non-monogamy? Is that ethical non-monogamy? Is that open relationships? Is that polyamory? Is that being a fuckboy? Is that like, what is that? What is the fucking word for it? And everyone has a different word. And I don't know, man, like the labels just don't mean anything to me. And you said it before, some of these girls are asking me, apart from the one girl that you're talking about now, some of the other girls have said, like, what is the label? What I've found, man, that just makes it so much easier is if I talk about the substance, not the label. So if I say, all right, I'm pretty busy, and so I'd like to see you once a week, maybe twice a week, if that works for you. And I am going to be seeing other people, and you're welcome to do whatever you want with that. And we're going to hang out and have some sex, and we'll be friends, and we'll do all this, and you can text me during the week if you want to. Like, I'll just say the substance, and then I'll say, how does that sound? Do you like that? And maybe there's some like negotiating. Maybe she goes like, oh, well, actually, I'm looking for this or whatever. But labels just don't fucking mean anything. And I feel like they just get in the way. Really
I do like that, what you just said. I mean, especially if you're being pressed. If some girl's pressing you and you're just like direct like that and just putting it all out there, that's a really, I would definitely advise that. But sometimes that could be bypassed. For example, like if this situation I'm in now, this girl does not appear to be pressing me with nothing, and so it just becomes irrelevant. it's just whatever. We're just taking it day by day, and you don't even need to. It doesn't need to even be addressed.
That is your substance, yeah. It's like, we're just chill. That's the substance.
Yeah. It may set. We may, like you said, that type of dialogue may pop up in a conversation. Well, we're doing this. We're chilling tonight, and I'm a very laid back girl. One or two things where you're like laying, or you're planting those seeds along the way, and it's being your actions along with a few of those like seeds are just being planted, and you're building a nice foundation. Or if you want to maintain what this type of relationship, it's there for the taking.
Yeah, you're building something.
Yeah, you're building something that you like. I really like. I what you have going now is a really admirable spot. Like what we think of monogamy and just like one exclusive woman to obsess over day and night, and she's the one, and I'm going to stop approaching girls. I'm going to stop speaking to other women. I'm not there really right now. And I'm almost back at that stage where like, I feel like I have a lot of making up to do, and I'm kind of enjoying how many I'm getting, like just by a little bit of effort and putting myself back out there now. And
do you feel like there's more peace where you're at now? Like less desperation to meet women and more just like, I'm enjoying doing it?
Yeah, for sure. I think I don't give I'm enjoying it more for sure. It's hard to always be comparing to your past, like where I was at, but I definitely feel more, dude. I didn't feel like I had the ability or strength or courage or I just felt like it wasn't a priority, and I needed to let it go at the time because it was such a rock star type lifestyle where, I needed just to detox and cleanse, and whether it's right or wrong, that's just how I responded in the present moment at that particular time.
I think a lot of guys look at that part of your life and just go like, oh, I have to be like Scotty. And there's so many, by the way, do you want me to call you Scotty or Bryon? Or do you just not really give a shit?
Oh, I don't care, man. Whatever you feel more, I don't care. Whatever you feel more comfortable with.
I don't care. I'll call you both.
Both,
I'll
once in a while,
so mix it. Confused, yeah. But so many of the questions that people gave me to like ask you and like topics to bring up on this podcast,
cool, man.
They were like, how can I be like Scotty? How can I do everything Scotty did? Like, how can I do all the crazy shit Scotty does? I get asked that sometimes, like in my coaching. And
I feel like I don't even have enough content out there for guys to be like asking them. I'm surprised they are, because where
people are obsessed with you, man.
Yeah, but where are they finding all this content? You know what I mean? Like
just from like, you're a fucking rock star that like, you're like the dad that you like, the really fucking cool dad that everyone's like in love with, and then he's like, yo, I'm just going to get some cigarettes, I'll be back in a little bit, and everyone's like, oh, okay, dad, like we love you. And then like 8 years later he's like, okay guys, I'm back, and everyone's like, oh my god, dad, you're back, okay, listen, here's what we've been up to, you changed my life, dad, we love you. Like
right. Yeah, it's been a warm welcome.
I think it's the videos and shit you put out. I think it's the fact that you were so unabashedly, unashamedly you, unapologetically you, you're just like, I'm Scotty. And I think it's that there's mystery there. It's like I said, like we're almost familiar with Chris. So Chris definitely is loved, but you're this like weird enigma that nobody knows. And everyone's like, who's this mystery guy? Is he real? Is he like the boogeyman? Is he like God? Like no one knows enough about you.
How long were you on like I mean, I could get with that. I'm like the Will Chamberlain of the community.
Yeah.
But, well, how long were you like really involved with the GLL stuff before you branched out?
I came right at the end. So I was there in like 2012. I think for the next 2 years of that period, Chris only wrote like 5 articles or something. He'd basically finished when I joined. So I did the approach anxiety program, started meeting more women, started getting leads, started doing all that shit. I became a moderator on his forums, and I was like quite happy to stay. Like we were all really happy to stay. But I think because Chris had stopped writing, people just stopped coming to the forums. And then a bunch of people nagged me and said, yo, hey, like you have to, Andy, you have to be the one to like set a forum up. And I was like, fuck no. Like, why me? You guys do it. And everyone was just like, nah, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to start a website. You should be like writing articles like Chris did. I didn't want to do that shit, but yeah, I was kind of bullied into it in a good way.
Just take over.
To keep it going.
Yeah,
because I think there was so much love there for Chris and for you that people were like, this can't fucking die. And I felt the same. I was like, yeah, I don't want to do it. I really wasn't comfortable with it at the start, but I was like, fine, I'll start a website. We'll do some forums and shit like that. So I think I was there for like maybe 2 years before it like really died. But I there wasn't a lot there. Basically like 5 articles in the time I was there.
And did he ultimately have to remove, like what he said, he had to remove a lot of the videos and stuff that he put up there, which is not good. I mean, like,
yeah, but people had copies of that shit. So the people that loved him like kept that shit. People were pretty respectful about it too. It was just kind of like, yo, I have copies of the videos. Like, if you want to watch a couple, here they are. But like, keep them to yourself. But yeah, he removed a fair bit, but most of the good shit's still there, man. Like,
oh, nice, okay, cool. Yeah, I saw that article that was really like, it was really heartwarming. The one where it was like Scotty's departing, and he wrote a whole thing. Like, I didn't even tell him to do that. He just went out of his way. Chris is a genuine dude. I consider him one of my best friends, regardless of how far apart we are. He's just a genuine dude, and I respect him for that. Like, he wrote that like, every time I read that, it's like a heartwarming article, about my situation at the time. Scotty's going to, step aside from the whole coaching and leave this life behind. It was like in depth. It was pretty long. And I think that article is still up there and available. So under the Scotty section or whatever, but
yeah, he still has your old coaching page up there as well. It's interesting to read that shit. Like, read the back in the day stuff of you two.
Yeah, that is interesting, man.
But yeah, he's a genuinely lovely person.
He really is.
I don't even know if you can answer this question very well.
Yeah, go for it.
It's hard to be objective about ourselves. I'm terrible at being objective about myself. But you are so unbelievably fucking eloquent and insightful and well-spoken. I am so curious, like, why you don't... I don't know if you don't think that about yourself, but, like, you've said several times, and you said this in the interview with, like, Chris, that, like, Chris is the one who's, like, good at writing things down and organizational. It's like, dude, I don't think you give yourself enough credit. Your videos are like very incredibly insightful, and you're just doing them on your crappy phone, like low quality, low effort, and they're incredibly. There's some like deep shit in there. I think
that's it. I appreciate that. Yeah,
coach. I'm not just saying that to be nice. I'll never fucking flick someone's dick just to be nice to them. But like,
no, I hear you. You don't seem that like you're that type of person. I mean, yeah, I enjoy your content as well. I listen to it all the time. I mean, I'm excited because this Friday I'm actually going to South Carolina to coach a guy for the weekend. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, that's going to be interesting, man. That's going to get I'm going to get my feet wet, and I've been in contact with this kid all the time. He's a military dude, and it just seems like a good fit. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ride it out and see how it rolls, man. I think we'll see what transpires from there. I legitimately did not know if there would be like even a market for this stuff after me and Chris did a podcast, but he was like assuring me, he's like, you're going to get contacted for sure.
Yes, mate. Yes. I would throw up some sort of page. Just pay someone, ask someone in your audience, yo, if I pay you $20, if I pay you $50, will you throw up some sort of coaching page for me? Right now, I've already had several people ask me, yo, do you know if Scotty is still doing coaching? Yo, I heard Scotty might be offering coaching. Yo, is that something he's doing? And I'm like, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. So I would throw some, like, bro, even if it's just a crappy page that says, hi, I'm Scotty. Here's a picture of me with tattoos. Like, don't I look cool? I'll come help you talk to women. Let's go, baby. Yeah. Just that.
Yeah, something like just to even put something out there, because the only thing they're really relying on, I guess, at this point is these podcasts and Chris's podcast. So what else is there? That's it. So you're saying even reach out to someone in your audience, pay them, and have them set up
someone in your audience, yeah. Like, look how many freaking comments you have, and you're doing videos and getting like freaking 10 people saying, "Oh my God, Scotty, I love you. Oh my God, Scotty, thank God you're here. Oh my God, Scotty, I've missed you." Like, bro, half of those people want you to coach them. You just haven't told them that that's available.
Yeah.
Like, they don't fucking know.
And it's a much mature audience. This audience is like very mature as opposed to like TikTok. I started just like fucking around and doing. I did my lame ass sports takes, on TikTok, and dude, I would just get roasted, and I wanted to like go out and find these kids and kill them. But these people are very much like respectful, and like, you're right. You realize Scotty was someone who I was like really all in at the time. I was taking on as many clients as I could, and even like I was like a year or two removed from coaching. I would still get emails. I would still get people saying, "Dude, are you interested? I'm down to pay you." So it was a while until it totally just stopped, and now reconnecting with Chris and saying that, yeah, I'd be interested to do it, or at least to give it a shot. For all I know, like, I could go bonkers again, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
If people want coaching, here you go, Scotty. I am going to do your sales for you. If someone wants coaching, how can they get in contact with you right this second? If they watch this video and they're like, damn, I wouldn't mind coaching.
I think I did drop my email. They
drop it again. Come on, go.
Yeah, my email is bharris11501@yahoo.com. That is my email. So hit me up there for anything you're really interested in, some form of coaching. So we could customize it, whatever you really feel you think you need. And I'll, once we're in communication, we can make something happen where that fits both of our schedules,
So you'll do in person? Are you willing to do like Zoom, like phone calls?
Yeah, I actually just did a phone consult. So this guy, Paul, was a diehard good looking loser guy. I don't know what the age demographic is. Still dudes in their 20s, early 20s, mid 30s. I don't know. But he's got a girlfriend now, but he's still kind of doing exactly what we're talking about. He's still open to meeting other girls, and he doesn't want to feel like he's settled because guys, I genuinely still believe this, will have this unwritten rule that we're together with the girl, and he's basically taken himself out of the game where he's not even going to approach women anymore, yet nothing on her end really changed.
She hasn't said anything.
Yeah. Dude, nothing's really changed. She's still a woman or a beautiful woman, and she's still going to be approached, and guys are going to still talk to her. So she's not technically out of the game. Her mind is still always in evaluation mode, like, that guy is interesting. Like, she's always, curious because she's always getting talked to. Nothing changed on her part. She can make any vow to not look and blindfolds. Like, she's going to get hit on. And basically the poor dude, the sucker like me, or at some point we've all been that guy where we're like, she's my one girl. I'm done approaching, because we were putting all that effort out there and making all the attempts, and now we stopped doing that. But really nothing changed on the woman's end. So we got to keep that in mind.
Interesting perspective. I have never thought of that.
Yeah. So this kid, Paul, basically said the same thing. He's like, I feel really insecure. I want to still do approaches, and because girls are not bashful, especially the ones that I was with or technically dating for a while, repeat customers, they were happily sharing stories about this guy I met here and this guy hit on me here. They're, just small talk, and they're very open to bringing that shit up. And it would get but the good question is, did I ever really take myself out of the game? No, I didn't either. So I was kind of like cool with it at the time. I don't think I've ever really fully removed myself from the fact I will not flirt with women. I will not talk to women. I will not be open to another possibility or another sexual encounter with a woman. Well, maybe my very first girlfriend that I lost my virginity to at 19, I was just like madly in love with her, picked her up at her stupid bar. She had a couple of years on me. That lasted a little bit under a year. I wasn't fucking around with other girls. I don't even think I was like interested at that point. I was always like thinking about it, but I was my first workshop really did help, actually. I would say that I was convinced to go to one of these workshops with a buddy of mine.
Wait, is this why you're still in the relationship with her?
That relationship passed.
Okay.
Quickly got into another relationship with a girl I really liked. We were together for 2 years. So towards like the tail end of that relationship, now I'm in my low 20s. That's when I took my first like workshop or boot camp thing, pick up stuff. And it was helpful just to get me out there. My buddy, I felt comfortable because a buddy of mine dragged me to do it with them. So I met a lot of cool people. I just stuck with it. I didn't like their systems. And I think GLO was almost born out of like a pushback from some of their systems and what they were doing to guys and what we felt, we could critique and make better. But as far as like just getting out there and the boot camps, I think it really got me going. It got the ball rolling. And I think it influenced me. It inspired me to become a coach at some level. I was getting results quickly. I was liking the validation I was getting from the friends that you made from there. And it was like everybody was supporting each other for the most part. There was some jealousy, but for the most part, I've never experienced a community like that, where we would meet up pretty religiously me and this one kid, Jameson, like we would shoot out I would go to the city with him a lot. We would go sarging or gaming a lot. And I really committed my life to doing it. And some of those relationships came and went, but I stuck to it. I just kept going for all those years. And, and then Chris came to Manhattan. We shot our very first like GLL video or some shit. I think that was our first video together. It was in Manhattan, and like it just took off from there, coaching and everything. So no hate or no knock on the whole pickup and at least getting the ball rolling for guys. Do whatever it takes to get out there, shake up your routine. If you're not having success with it, I was at the point where I was a nervous little wreck. I needed to be pushed out of my comfort zone, and that's what that was there for. Whether I liked the lines, I immediately thought a lot of the stuff was silly, and I didn't need a lot of it. And the coach was like, "Whoa, you're doing fine without them, so don't use the lines we're giving to you." I remember them saying that specifically. Well, Scotty, you're different. And then even the coaches like Brad P, you're different. Like, just do your thing, keep doing your thing. We're not going to try to alter what you're doing. You're getting results, not using our stuff. So they didn't care. They were like, just keep doing your thing. And some of the students were coming to me, then not even the teachers had the thing. They're like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not using the lines. I'm just putting my hand out and trying to normalize this, because I thought some of the stuff was so silly. And they're trying to make us a clown, and there's all this different verbiage for it, to be the entertainer and shit like that. And dude, they had so many terminologies for what you were supposed to do then.
None of this stuff has changed, right? It's like exactly the same these days.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah, except now there's like different communities, but it's all the same sort of stuff. It's like 1,000 different words for like stuff that you don't need you don't need any of these words. You don't need to do any of that stuff. And again, I really agree with what you're saying, that like I think pickup artists and stuff serve a really nice function. It's like a nice stepping stone. It's like it gets you out of the house, it gets you doing something. So this isn't shitting on anyone, but like
it shows that really quick. It shows you that you just made a decent sized commitment to yourself and to your buddy, something that was important to you, and you broke your daily routine. Mom, dad, or whoever is in your circle, I'm going to take a workshop, a weekend thing. Like you just made a commitment. So I'm going to, at that point, you're going to make some form of effort to get out. Something's got to change. I got to start meeting women, so at that point, that's what you mean. Yeah. That in itself serves some sort of purpose,
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So
I think there's a lot of jargon that's confusing. I think that's the only bit that I would maybe smooth over. You know what I mean? Like I'd get rid of a lot of the jargon. And that stuff still exists today, but in different communities. And a lot of the concepts are stuff that you don't need to do, you know what I mean? And it's like doing it almost delays the thing that you're wanting to have. If you're saying I want to have sex, doing some of these routines literally slows that process down, because now you're spending 15 minutes talking about asparagus or her favorite vegetable, or like, do you think men cheat more than women? And it's like, what's that got to do with us having sex though? Like,
as opposed
slowing down the process.
I totally agree. As opposed to that time, those moments, you could be like, holding strong eye contact and smiling at her, kind of like with those nice pearly white teeth that she's gonna notice, and she, instantly like build that attraction. Or you could be like, this guy's a fucking weirdo, leave me alone. And sometimes doesn't matter how attractive you are now a weirdo, and that girl just is gone because you just are talking about her favorite food or some nonsense, and you're remembering what the teacher told you to say. As much as guys don't like at the start, much as guys don't like me saying like just go introduce yourself to her, I want a line or something. Like, I don't know how you deal with your students when they ask you stuff like that, but it's interesting.
I can tell you in a second, but you finish.
Yeah. I would just continue to remind the person, like, or the student, that it's not really what you say to begin with. It's how you say it. It's your presence. It's your demeanor and how you're holding yourself. Worry about the fundamentals, and then whatever garbage comes out of your mouth is really and ultimately secondary. If you're standing there, like when someone walks in a room who we highly respect or whatever, like a mentor or someone who's just there, and you go, whoa, he's here. This dude has just walked into the room. My man Charlie's here, or whoever that you guys respect. It's like, what did he really have to say? Do you remember all the little detailed conversations? No, you don't. So it's not that important still. Like the guys who continue, they're wrong, and they need to be put, I'm not afraid of putting these students in a place that have these beliefs that they need a line, or they need to. That sounds silly that's crazy. That's not real. Okay, if you don't think it's real, if you don't think what I'm telling you is possible, for the next hour, you will sit there and watch me be by my side and absorb what I'm doing, and just be there with me, just so that it's just like, no, you don't need to do it. You don't need to do it. Don't keep insisting you need to do it. Watch me for a while. Just absorb it, soak it in. And sure enough, then guys would break out of that. They would start introducing them, and they looked like miniature Scotties. That's what I wanted them to be. Like, get away from the whole. They were a lot of the students that came to me, and I'm sure same with you. They are like brainwashed with the pickup community and what they previously read. All the books they read, all the seminars they went to. So
all the programming,
the programming, and it just didn't make sense. So yes, go ahead, man, carry on.
This absolutely just applies to everything in general. Like, my favorite movie of all time is probably The Matrix, because I think it's just a perfect analogy of, like, you get stuck in thought patterns, you get stuck in a system, and you believe that system is, like, the only system that could ever exist. So you talked before about, like, marriage and monogamy, and, this guy has a wife, so then shouldn't I have a wife? Because everybody else on this block or everybody else on the street has a wife, so that's the only way, right? It's like, you don't have to be stuck in that matrix. Have a wife if you want to. But, like, there are other ways of doing shit. And so, the pickup artist stuff can be like a paradigm, or like people get stuck in that way of thinking of, like, I have to have the perfect line to say. It's not just pickup artists, man. It's fucking Hollywood. It's Hollywood. It's the media. It's Netflix. It's TV, where they're like, you have to be James Bond. You have to be an alpha male. You have to have the perfect line all the time. You have to always be smooth. You have to always know what to say. And if you ever have a moment where you don't know what to say, oh, that's like death. Like, she's never going to sleep with you. She's going to go run away and tell all of her female friends, and probably every single female in the entire city, that you're a loser because you were unsmooth one time, and then you'll never, ever, ever have sex ever in your entire life. Like, that's kind of the fear that people have.
Dude, that's serious. Like,
it's exactly like you said, dude. I will have so many guys that go, what do I say? Especially when I take them out in person, and I'm like, hey, go talk to her. She's cute. Go say hi. And they'll go, what do I say? And I'll go, like, it's stop. Just go say hello. I don't care. I literally don't care what you say. We're going to start getting some reps in. I need you to just start talking to some women. You're never going to go on a date if you talk to 0 women. I think you understand that. It is a numbers game. Go and start talking to some women. And yes, much of the time they'll say, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? My favorite fucking line is, it doesn't matter what I tell you to say. You're going to fuck it up anyway. Like, you're nervous. You're shitting your pants. You're not going to do a good job of this. You're fucking, like, I can see you shaking. Yeah. If I give you the perfect line to say, you won't deliver it, like, in a confident way, like you said, because you're not confident yet. So go over there and be unconfident and just say anything. Because if you think, and I got this from you and Chris, it was like drilled into my brain. If you look at the guys who are actually successful, the guys who are getting laid a lot, the guys who have amazing sex lives, they're not sitting there saying, what do I say to every single woman? It's like, they're so fucking far beyond that point that they understand it doesn't matter. Like you said, if someone walks in the room that's charismatic and we're all friends with him, like, we love this guy, dude, he can say anything and we'll think it's funny. We'll think it's insightful. We'll think he's a genius for having said it. But then if, like, some morbidly obese, homeless person who hasn't had a shower in 6 weeks and nobody likes him and he doesn't groom himself, whatever he says, we're probably going to have value judgments about what he said. We're probably not going to listen. Even if he says the most genius, like, he might be some fucking super genius, but because he doesn't look the part, because his, like, resume, so to speak, like, his cover doesn't look exciting or doesn't look glamorous, and he's, he hasn't had a shower in 6 weeks, we're probably not going to listen to whatever he says. So I think that has such a huge part to it, to a big part of it. And I think a lot of guys can go in this direction where they say looks don't matter that much, or looks don't matter at all. I've heard some guys say that. The only thing that matters is, like, game, like having the perfect pickup line or the perfect routine. And it's like, that stuff sure can help, like, great, but looks matter an incredible amount. And so does just, like, talking to a lot of people and finding the ones that like you.
Yeah. It's definitely, having a coach or something like that, I think is really beneficial, especially if you're serious about it. And, like, if you're able to leverage, like, a good wing woman or a good wingman, and that's basically what I would call myself, or like a coach, or even that, we're used labels to define what we are. Like, what do you do exactly? Like, I'm not sure. I'm a wingman or a mentor or a coach or a friend or a...
Yeah, I can't label my coaching anymore. I just don't fucking know what to say.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. I'm a coach.
Exactly. But yeah, we certainly can leverage the... It was very much helpful to me too, man. It helped me get like... It helped me pull a lot of women. I was basically he was coaching me at the same time. It's so mutually exclusive, like back and forth. One hand washes the other type of thing. No matter what, doesn't matter what level I'm on and you're on. That's all man-made stuff. Like just go with the... Life does not give a fuck. I could get rejected. You could get rejected. Who cares? Like, we're friends. If you want to call me mentor, if you want to call whatever you want to call me, is fine. But it's the substance that matters. You know, are we bonding? Are we really getting some good results here? Are the girls finding us? Are we those guys in the room that the girls want to be with? Are we leaving a mark, an impression on these women where they want to sleep with us? So that stuff, the substance behind what we're doing. Why are we gathering here? Why are we connecting? So that's where the juice is. That's where the juice is.
Yeah, I like that you're talking about the deeper stuff and the substance. We've used that word like 5 times now, substance. I feel like wait for the joke. I feel like there's substance if we go deep in that word substance. I was going to ask you some questions, man, on like, you had a couple of comments and a couple of guys asked me to ask you this. You had a couple of comments on your YouTube channel that basically said like, it was essentially the conversation of like, the answers aren't out there. I think you even said it in a video. The answers aren't necessarily always out there. A lot of the time the answer is inside you, like that substance inside you. How much do you feel like in the early days, maybe you went looking for answers outside? And maybe this is me just telling my own story. I definitely looked for answers out, like in the external shit. Versus now, do you feel like you're looking a lot more internally? And I ask that because that seems to come across in your content.
That I don't have the answers. And I try to, and a lot of it is generalized too. What you said before, a lot of this stuff does apply to whatever, business or family relationship, just life in general. So yeah, a lot of the stuff I'm saying about answers, they're very generalized, but have I gotten better at just like being able to look inside? I think that gave me a lot of confidence, especially at the beginning, knowing I wasn't using the people's lines and I was getting some results and guys were coming to me. That type of stuff was important for my progress, I guess. And seeing that, I was like, wait, we went there and they are the coaches, you paid money, whatever, but like you were able to find this yourself. And I got to give it to the coaches. They were all kind of like, did preach that. And this is you're the one who's got to navigate through or calibrate.
Yeah. I'm just helping.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to calibrate. You have to learn trial by error is what they stressed over and over again. And I stressed it too. Like you need the reps. Like you said, you got to keep if you have to keep getting rejected, then so be it. That's why I'm here, alongside you. That to me is why a coach or that type of bonding experience is important, because that could totally put a guy on the shelves for like 6 months or a year or even more if they just keep getting smashed and they have nowhere to fall back on, and to just be like, yo, next one or whatever, laugh about it, just like break that stake, get out of there. That's not the end of the world or whatever. If he's starting to spiral out of control and it's just, he's totally humiliated and he's just done now. Like if he's by yourself, that a lot of guys can't recover from some of those experiences.
Okay. How much of Scotty was projected? Like how much of Scotty was Scotty and how much of it was actually like the real Bryon? Do you get what I mean?
Right.
Like how much was for show?
How much was it for show? I don't think a lot of it was for show, and I think that's why I had a lot of success with it. Mm-hmm. And it was like you get what I'm doing with myself on a daily basis. I'm here just as your wingman. I know for sure what I've been doing day in and day out. I am not lying to you about this, or I'm not trying to sell you something. I don't that just to try to make money, or I'm not really doing this. I'm very specific in terms of how I'm living my life, and I'm sleeping with a lot of women. And if that is something that is appealing to you and you're fascinated to be with me during your growth and to try to emulate or get the same type of results I got, I think Chris preaches that a lot. Find a mentor, copy somebody. don't reinvent the wheel. I was very much just confident with what I was doing. So a lot of it was there was not a big facade for sure. Maybe at like some deeper astronomical level, but for the most part, in terms of how I was living my life day in, day out, regardless of coaching or not, the moment I took that first workshop, I was like on a mission to either just to connect deeper with other women and just to conquer the base fears that go along with not, living in a shell and feeling that this rejection is going to be this, monumental devastation, and you're going to be just totally crushed from it. The repetition is what gets the guys like out of that funk, or that belief rather, that it's the end of the world, that you can't recover from that. So, through all the repetition, it starts to I really think like rewire your thinking and your beliefs about the situation, that it is, oh, I could never do that. Some of the I could nevers that you carry around with you prior to even trying, or if in fact you do have that belief and you have gotten results, and that there's a reason why you have that judgment, maybe it's time to seek some sort of wingmanship or mentor. It's time to try something else, because, like I said, initially when I was 19, to lose my virginity, I met the girl on MySpace or the internet, and I was like her puppy dog slave type of thing to this woman. I even booked a trip to Hawaii with this woman. I was obsessed, and I was warned by some of my older friends not to do that. They're like, that's the kiss of death, man. Do not take this woman to Hawaii. I'll go with you. It's over between you two. You're trying to salvage something that's not there. And I was just totally blind to it. And I'm insisting. Oh, all right, man. We're back.
You're back.
Thank you. I don't know what happened, man. I apologize for that.
No, don't stress. I can't remember what we were talking about, though.
Yeah, no idea.
Cool.
Something cool.
Something life-changing, man. We're about to have the world's biggest, life-changing advice to people, and now we fucking can't remember it. So sorry, everybody.
I just remember saying repetition a lot. I remember using the word repetition a lot, and you asked me. It was asked by a good question about how, finding those answers, being able to find those answers, by yourself, and not relying upon the teacher too much. Apparently contradictory to wanting to use a wingman or leverage some of your. You have to just navigate or learn where you are, what stage you are, and to take that, if you're being honest, as honest with yourself as you possibly can. And if you're just not getting laid and you're just in a funk, or you're just jammed up with something and you're not getting the results you want, your intentions aren't clear, and you really feel like you need that extra motivation or boost, I highly recommend it, man. That's what got me started. That's what got Good Looking Losers started. That's what got you started. Where else are we coming from when we're in those positions? We made a decision. We made a big enough change to really get to start seeing to see other results,
Yeah, when you're at the bottom of happiness, when you're at a point where you're not happy with your life, maybe you're feeling guilty, maybe you're afraid, maybe you're feeling shame, whatever it might be, a bunch of negative emotions, just taking some sort of action, man, to kick you out of that. And it doesn't have to be the best action that you ever could have taken. In fact, how would you ever know what that is? And so, yeah, I feel like going and getting a wingman or paying a coach or finding a community, that was what I got out of Good Looking Loser. Just something to get the ball rolling and get you started on that path. Some sort of action. For sure, man. I was just going to end that by saying, that's why I really have no hate towards the whole pickup industry. I know it's got a bad reputation sometimes, and it's got a lot of, negativity surrounding it. We could ridicule and judge anything, but at the end of the day, why was I going to begin with? That was the most important part. I was breaking out of my cycle. Whatever I was doing prior to that just wasn't working, and I was dragged to go or encouraged to go by a mutual friend. And I met a lot of cool people, and it was that's what's more important. Not so much, if you don't want to change to begin with, you'll find something at these things that was it was a waste of money. And you'll always find someone with a really bad review about whatever, a restaurant, any experience we have. You get one really great review about the bar down the block, and then somebody else was treated like shit and just has a bad experience. So it's up to the individual where you're at and how badly you want to
change your circumstances or change your situation with women, especially. So I think women are like, without having like women or any physical affection with some woman is like, you're missing out. And I think I would never advise someone, despite what some people say, you gained merit. Again, I don't give myself that much credit for it, but like certain people like look at me dead in the face, like so-called spiritual people. And they're like, you gained some form of merit by like retaining your semen for all of those years.
Do you know how many comments I've had on my fucking YouTube channel saying that shit? Yeah.
You did something along those lines as well?
No, as in saying the opposite. They're like, listen, hey, here's a 7-paragraph essay on why you need to retain your seed. And I'm like, okay, but like, I really like sex, so it's fun.
Right, exactly, man.
So here's the terrible segue. You're buying a house.
Oh, yeah, much appreciated, man. Thank you so much, man. That was very kind of you. Thank you.
Well, that's what this is. This is us shouting that out.
Oh,
so
no
you
doubt.
have a GoFundMe.
Yep.
So what's the mission there? What is the purpose of the house? This is a house you're going to buy and fix up. This is a house you're going to live in.
Yeah, I would just want a place where, honestly, I think it would help in terms of even like continuing to work with guys down the road. I'm not settled where I am. And I feel like if I had a home base, it would make life a hell of a lot easier to invite. I would invite people straight up to my place and we can meet there and have a nice, that will be like my headquarters, that I want a place to call home. I hate like not having that, in and out of your parents' house, living on the streets, going from Airbnbs, doing this, living in tiny home communities, just like a Rolling Stone tumbleweed type of life up until this point. So I've always kind of like dreamed, if you look at the GoFundMe page, of having like my own place, my own warm space, and do whatever you will in that space, but comfortable enough where I could bring people and clients and family or women back to there and have that, to have that there. It sucks living under bridges. It sucks living out of cardboard boxes. It sucks. I mean, especially if you've gone down all those roads, like, yeah, I would love to have something like that. That would really, I think, be a game changer, not just for myself, but others as well. Like right now I'm being invited to South Carolina. They're flying me to places to teach them. I wouldn't even feel that comfortable. It's nothing like New York doing coaching because I had a good pulse on a lot of different things. I felt very comfortable with where we're going. I had, contacts with promoters and this and that. I had a good idea of what we can do, where to go, when to go to certain things, who to contact, I just have nothing. I don't have anything remotely similar to that right now. So that's why
what you do. Yeah. Like one thing that's helped me when I do that, if I go to a place that I don't know, and it's only happened a couple of times, I don't do much in-person coaching, but what I will do is I will say to the student, like, hey, you go out a couple of weeks in a row and go research like bars and shit, or ask a bunch of your friends. Like, because you're there, you can go to the fucking bar and tell me if it's good. Like, I don't know because I'm not there. So that's kind of like a way you can do it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I did. We've had a lot of deep conversations. Well, not deep. Yeah, but we've had a lot of conversations. Me and this guy, so building it up, where I'm like, "Are you good? Do you feel like you have a very strong idea of or a good idea of Charleston? And do you have a pulse on the bar scene?" He goes, "Maybe not to where Scotty had in New York, but he said, yes, I do speak to some promoters. I do know bars. There's good places to go." So I'm putting my trust in him, and really there's no alternative at the moment. That's, again, segue into like why I would like to ultimately have a place to call home, that I really feel comfortable and home, where I can bring people and feel comfortable as inviting guests or whoever at my house. Place to lay down and feel very comfortable and safe. Have a dog and just some so-called normal things.
I was going to say, I think given how much you gave to people, in terms of like value, and especially having a big influence on Chris, who then wrote a website to give a ton of value to people. And I know that people have their own life path and shit that happens and stuff, but how did you get to the place where you're, sleeping under bridges and like literally homeless and stuff?
Well, I mean, like I said, I tried to analyze the whole thing of what led me to those situations and being okay with them, and always really understanding too that we are living in the moment and we can only speak in retrospect. So when you're, we're actually still living in the moment, and then we eat, our stomach growls, we then take action, eat the food, and then we comment about it or review it, how that was. But we're still life is happening. It's here. So you're confronted with it. So like, none of it was really, mapped out. I don't think I went into like last summer thinking that this could happen. Anything is possible. I know that's kind of just like a vague and whatever, and it's troubling, but it could be. For a lot of people, it is. Safety and security is like at a premium. Whether it's home insurance and this insurance and that, is just like feeling secure, feeling safe here, feeling like you've shown up and you feel a sense of security. Feeling like
you're okay.
Yeah, like you're okay. Yeah, absolutely. A big okay. Not just like, you asking me in an interview, how you doing, Scotty? I'm doing okay. Like really feeling okay inside. I legitimately have always felt I've had tremendous amount of anxiety, tremendous amount of paranoia, and I've just been in enough experiences and situations where I'm like, no, I don't really trust people at all. I can't, I still have a lot of anger issues, and you would say, why is this guy even qualified to be a wingman or a coach or something like that? And a lot of times I often say, I am not really who you think I am. I'm not going to be your coach. I'm here if you are interested. If something is interested in having success in a particular field that I had success in, and I did day in and day out, and I felt it changed my dating life, my sex life. And if you want to be around that and absorb that, it's the best way to learn. I'm open to doing it. It's a relationship just like any other relationship. If you are interested, that doesn't by any means say that I have my shit together. That's what I'm trying to explain to people. I am not a god. I am not someone who doesn't suffer from a lot of different things. I mean, I'm actually take medication. I have a psychiatrist. I've been in and out of psychiatric units. So like, but still, that does nothing to, life goes on no matter what. It's still happening in the moment. Doesn't mean that you have not mastered a certain, aspect of life. And me and Chris broke that down. Like, life is there, and then we could, we do have the ability to still be very successful in whatever we choose to do, because we have that like obsessive nature or quality about it that is in a negative sense, but you also can apply those same, ultra hyper obsessive behaviors to attaining a goal, or sleeping with a lot of women and like making that, ingraining that, rewiring your system. So a lot of that was truly there. Whatever the motivations and reasons, I'll leave that to the psychiatrist, but the fact remains, this guy was rewiring himself, and he retrained himself and was getting a lot of women, sleeping with a lot of women. So listen, I don't think I've seen some of the best psychologists and psychiatrists pay tons of money, and no one has the exact answer. That's why I keep telling you, there is an element, whether we like it or not, there is an unknown here that people have to, that struggle with at the root of a lot of our endeavors, that there's uncertainty here. You open up the business, there's still uncertainty. You may lose your business. You may, there's an element here that you may get rejected. You may get into a car accident. There is a level of life that we do not, or people like to discuss acceptance, a deep level of acceptance, because there isn't, like I said, an element of unknown that I am not sure. Some of the top doctors, if we're looking for just like a conclusion, and yes, we may have those judgments. We may be living simultaneously with a lot of the judgments and conclusions, but life continues to go on. So I am a doctor. I am a sociopath. I was diagnosed as this. You think life gives a fuck what we name ourselves or what we label ourselves? So there's an element of personal, impersonal going on here, and it's kind of bizarre. There's two elements of a personal dimension, and despite our conversation, is my stomach still going to growl after this conversation? Yes. Life is not going anywhere, no matter how we may have dropped the greatest information and knowledge. We've just expounded the best fucking knowledge you can ever hear. That guy still has to take a shit, still take care of his body, or whatever, shower. He's going to have urges, and to you get the idea. You get the idea that this is there's definitely levels to this. But I'm saying, I am not God.
Will you please do more YouTube content?
Right.
Will you please, just everything you just said, will you just fucking, Jesus Christ, put that in a YouTube video? Please do more content.
I will, but at least we got some of that.
Everything you just said, man.
Yeah.
Please write a book or do a YouTube video or something. I know you're sitting there saying, I don't have all the answers, but I think what people like about you is that you're unashamedly you. And you say like, oh, if some guy wants to pay me for coaching, but like, I don't have all my shit together. It's like, yeah, but you're fucking honest about that. Right. That's why.
Yeah.
The very first article I ever wrote was give yourself permission to suck, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not good at this shit. And I have done so much content on that shit. I feel like that's the authentic thing that people are looking for. They're looking for someone to come along and say, hey, I'm a fuck up. And if you're a fuck up, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Or if you're an imperfect, shitty human being, you know, you need to take a shit even though you just heard the most enlightened thing of all time. It's like life continues on. If you understand that, I'm here and I'll try and help you as best I can. I'm not promising you the answer. I'm not promising you that I know I can solve all of your problems, but I'm just a dude who's been through some shit and I've thought some things and I'm pretty good at this one thing. And if you want help with that, I can help you. Dude, I feel like that is your fucking...
Yeah.
That's you. That's your message. That's you.
Yeah. And some of my biggest role models or mentors, I don't think they had all their shit together. I knew for sure they did.
I don't think they need to.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think anyone does, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Who does? Point out the human being who has all of their shit together.
Exactly, dude. Some of the people I really admire, some of the guys that I really looked up to and really sought out some of their advice or words of wisdom, like these guys had tremendous, they were in trouble with the law or this or that, but there was a certain element that was like, I don't give a fuck. I could sense something about this dude that's authentic, or he could help me out in this particular situation or whatever, it's, these guys have plenty of flaws. The guys that I really looked up to or admired, or including my father, or people who were very successful businessmen in a particular area, how focused they were, how much drive they had, how much determination to, achieve things, and then how generous he was along the way, and how much he also, took time to take his son and travel with his son to new states every single year to a football game. Some of those things are just invaluable. I'll never forget some of these experiences that I did with my dad, that he took the time to, make sure we went on a vacation every single year to a new state, a ball game together. Just like, otherwise I would have never had some of those experiences together with him. So I would love to repay him back and repay others back in any way possible, man.
I feel like that's all we're ever really doing. Like as a coach, you're just trying to, that's the reason that I got into it. Cause it's like fucking hell, like Chris and you as well, and a couple of other people helped me so unbelievably much that like, I don't have a choice here. It's like, I literally don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I got to pay that forward.
That's cool. That's cool, man. I didn't know it had that big of an impact, but apparently like if you're able to take like a 7-year hiatus, I guess it was a lot bigger than I was led to believe. And again, that level of uncertainty, not knowing what type of feedback, and like you hear that in Chris's videos as well. He doesn't, there's a level, that's what kind of makes life exciting, but also very, could just bring about a sense of anxiety as well. The uncertainty of what type of feedback are we going to get from this? Is there, how big of a market is it? Do they give a fuck? Is my shit so outdated? Am I not? Chris
that's a big worry. Yeah,
Chris said it best. He's like, I don't know how much I want to speak about, even the girl thing. I just feel like it's disingenuous, or it's not congruent with how I'm living today, which is one of our biggest things. We give back that which where our own lives are like involved with. That's why I always felt like confident enough and knew that I could back up what I was offering guys, because I knew deep down inside I was really and truly living this day in and day out. And if they want to tag along with me and see what this is about, come, give it a try, see what you think.
Yeah, you're not saying I'm perfect or I have all the answers. You're just saying, yo, hey, here's what I get up to. If you want to do the same stuff, like, you can try it. It's not the only way to do it. It's not even the perfect way. It's not the correct answer. It's not like the one true fucking thing that you think will bring you happiness or whatever, which I think some people look at you and Chris, and maybe me too, as that. Oh, this guy seems to have his shit together, or he's at least good at this one thing. Therefore, if I can just do what he says, or if I can do what he's done, all of my problems will be solved. And it's like, we didn't fucking promise you that, but
yeah, that's wild. But even going through like the 7 years of no sexual contact or no physical affection with a woman, that's really unhealthy, man. I feel like that's why in those videos you cited before about me sleeping with these 3 women recently, now 4, each experience, I'm like, wow, I underestimated, because in hindsight, and I couldn't see it. I don't have that type of vision where, whoa, like I never experienced that before. We're more powerful than we think. We have the ability to heal one another, like tremendously. Like I remember just laying there with this one girl, and I took a hit of weed by mistake because we were just vibing and having a good time. She came back to my house. She took the initiative, and it was going really well. And she took a hit, and I was like, yeah, all right. I caved. I'm like, all right, I'll take a hit. And I just totally, all the sexual energy left my body, and I like shriveled up, just a nervous little boy, like just ice cold, and just totally, I'm like, she's gonna leave. She hates my guts. Oh my God, this is a disaster. No sexual energy zapped out of me. And she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, this is really bad, really bad. I'm like nervous. I'm shaking, couldn't stop shaking. And all she did, like moments later, was like grab me like this and like bring me close and gave me like a really big hug. And it escalated, continued to escalate, and got lost in this sort of like tight ass fucking connection. And it was like, my high went away, everything zapped away, it all came back, my sexual energy, and it was like, and I was all my endorphins were running, like sexual endorphins were back alive, and it took away all that nerves, just that embrace, that big embrace. Like she embraced that instead of trying to speak it out. At first she was trying to speak it out, this is not working, like this is not working anymore, we can't talk this out, we just cannot talk this out. Anything was saying was not working. So she just embraced me, like physically brought me in, and it just escalated from there. And it was just like, wow, we are really powerful. We have the ability to like legitimately, remove a high or a marijuana trip.
It's like we go through life a lot and we feel very alone. We get stuck in our own head and we're taken out of the moment. We're living in like the future, or we're living in the past, or we're living like in stories, in shit that's going on in our head, but we're not actually there in real life. And when someone grabs you or hugs you or holds your hand or kisses you, or, sex can be like this as well. It's like it grounds you and brings you back to the present moment. And it's like, oh shit, I'm not alone. This person is with me. I'm not like, because when you're in your head, you are a million miles away. She can be right there talking to you saying, hey, Bryon, I like you, come to bed. Like, I'm right here. And you're like, no, you're not there. You're 7 million miles away from me. But just that embrace is like, oh, fuck. I can't deny that you're here because I can feel you. Yeah, it's such a powerful thing. It really is.
Bro,
I really want you to do more content. Like, holy crap. This is a side of you I feel like we didn't get to see.
Sure,
like
yeah.
Spiritual.
Because I wasn't sure, and I still have these discussions to this day with Chris or whatever about like what direction do you want to take this, and never do this as like some sort of primary source of income. And like we just bouncing ideas off of where you're going to take this, and he was even unsure. Like I don't know, you could just maybe use the YouTube just to make content and see where that goes. And already we got the meetups and stuff like that, which we'll see how that goes as well. But
what you just said is the advice he gave. He didn't give it to me, but he wrote a bunch of articles on like how to start, like how to do what he had done, how to do a blog.
Yeah.
And he basically just said, just fucking do a lot of content and try and help a lot of people. And that's it. Nothing else. Don't worry about making money. Don't worry about like, what should my blog look like? What should the design be? What voice should I have? What direction should I take things in? He literally just said, shut your fucking mouth and just do like 100 articles. That's all that fucking matters. Just try and help people. Nothing else fucking matters. Doesn't matter about email lists or, marketing or sales or any of that bullshit. Just literally help one person at a time. Humble yourself and just help one person at a time. I took that, and that was like exactly what I did with my blog and my YouTube channel. I was like, I can't think of the bigger picture because I don't fucking know. Like, how the hell am I supposed to know what direction? I don't know how I'm supposed to talk. I don't know how I'm supposed to help anyone. I just like trusted, like I just worshipped Chris so much that I was like, brother, I'm just going to trust you. I'm just going to do what you said. And like, maybe you could do that. Just like the videos that you're already doing are fucking amazing. Maybe you don't need to know what the direction is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it is that element of unknown where you have to, everything's a learning. We're learning as we go. This idea, when women especially say to you, people listening, the guy out there that the woman says like, you don't know me. You don't know me. How dare you? You don't know me. It's immediately just like a protection. It's a form of she's protecting herself, because nobody has that privilege. I don't give a fuck who you are. We are beings that are like
so fucking spiritual, Scotty.
Yeah, and we do not fully know somebody. We don't. Sure, we can examine somebody's tendencies. We can examine this. We can examine that. But these are all, again, we need security. We need to feel safe. We need to know every little detail. Like, as we were on this podcast, that girl that I was just so-called like, praising and then saying things are going really well with her, she called and I immediately hit the silent button. We're doing the thing. So I see a text pop up. She's like, damn, you're sending me to voicemail right away. So listen, anything is possible. Like, we'll see how it goes with this woman. I like what I've seen so far, but we have a multitude of faces. I mean, the human being has a multitude of faces, a lot of different faces. When you're confronted with certain things or that you thought you were involved with, but you are not the same as you were back then. So just because I responded to a threesome and shriveled up 10 years ago when I was confronted with that, I do not know if I'll be how I would respond in the future. And that's what makes life exciting. We do not know how we are going to respond when confronted with new experiences, which is always happening, whether we are on repeat mode or not, or robot mode or not. We are still, the new is still always being born or presented to us. Tomorrow, right now, you have the ability to make a moment. I'm going to go here. I don't know. I could get hit by a car. Anything could happen. Yeah. It's wild. The ultimate ride.
What you said before with like, we've never met anyone. So one of my favorite authors is this woman called Bryon Katie. And one of her quotes is, we've never met each other. We've never met anyone. You've never actually met anyone. What you do is you meet someone. You meet the stories that you tell about them. So I will tell stories of who Scotty is. And someone else will meet you and tell completely different stories of you. And then someone else will meet you and tell completely different stories. One person will say, he's a fuckboy, he's a shithead, he's a douchebag. Someone else will say, oh my God, he's like literally God. He's like Jesus Christ. He's like trying to save our lives. I will meet you and I'll go, he's a complex character who's very spiritual and all of this. We're all just fucking telling stories. We don't, even if I ask you who you are, as you try and tell me who you are, it would take you like I feel like it would take infinite time to tell me the depths of your soul and who you actually are as a human being, as a man, as an earthling, as all of that shit. It would just take too long. There's like just too much to tell. And as you said, tomorrow you wake up and you probably tell a different story of who you are because you're grumpy and your stomach is rumbling. So now you're in a different mood. Like everything is just momentary. And all we're really ever doing is living in this moment right now.
And the moment is so precious. It really is. It's so it's so fragile.
It's all you have. It's all you have. What else do you have other than this moment?
Yeah, exactly. And it's so
Tomorrow
fragile.
Yet.
You just don't know what you're going to have, like what you're going to get. My cousin recently, they laced him with fentanyl, which is an epidemic right now, and he died. Like anything, life is so, you start to have these experiences, or you lose people close to you, or have tragedies happen around you, and we're confronted with it. We don't know how we're going to respond. Me and Chris, during our last podcast, his mother passes away. Like, we don't know. Like, that's big news. That's huge. And he just was, still living in the moment, but had to the moment's always there. And wow, that was impressive. I mean, I don't know how would I have broken down? Would I say, listen, we'll continue this next time? I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could go there. How are you going to respond to conflict or controversy? Are you, we're there as a leverage for some of the guys who decide to work with us. And that's what I used a mentor or those coaches for. Like, dude, the moment I hated that sense of like, oh, wow, I just got blown out like 4 times in a row. And, having the support around you is like, we can laugh about it and move on. And you see it happening to other guys, and you don't, it starts to become less and less like damaging to us. We're not like totally immobilized off of a couple blowouts.
Yeah, you're actually more present too. When you have other people there and they tell you, oh, it's okay, you can come back to the present moment. You can look around and go, yeah, I guess I am okay, aren't I? Like, nothing bad happened. She just didn't want to sleep with me.
Yeah.
Nothing actually happened. But if you are sort of by yourself, or if you get too caught up in your own head, you start living in the future. You live in the past and you live in the future. You live in the past and you start going, man, in the past, girls always rejected me. I've never had any luck, blah, blah, blah. It's always been like this. And then you start living in the future. You go, and it will always be like this. I bet you the next 3 women reject me. I bet you I end up alone, sad, depressed, hating my life, no intimacy, no human connection, none of that shit for the rest of my life. You're not actually in the moment when you're doing that. You're living in the past and in the future. Like, you're not even here. And having someone else there is like grounding, because it's like, hey, listen, whoa, everything is okay. Look where you are right now. Are you okay? And if the answer is like, well, fine, where I am right now, I'm okay. It's just in the future, I think I won't be okay. And in the past, I think I wasn't okay. But here, fine. Yes, I'm okay. Cool. Yeah. Let's start with that. You're okay.
And one of the biggest things is really typically in those situations, sometimes, especially when you're alone, when we are confronted with some sort of controversy or something happens to us that we really dislike, we have like a network that we run to. We'll go and say, fuck it, it's over. And you go do something really unhealthy or unproductive, a bad habit. Self-medicate. Yeah, you'll run to your go-tos, like, oh, what's your go-to? And we even glorify that in today's society. Like, what's your go-to? What is your drug of choice? What is this? What is that? We glorify these built-in escapes to when we are confronted with something we dislike, or we're being attacked, we think. So we have a network of like, that's where I'm going. So what the workshop or the boot camp did for me was, you have nowhere to run or turn, and you realize the more repetition you have, the more repetition you get in, and you're not going anywhere. You're not leaving. You're not gonna, Bryon, you're not gonna go hop in your car right now and go cop some drug, a Percocet and leave, or whatever you decide to do. You're not going to go home and play video games and medicate yourself. Like, no, you're not going anywhere. And then the more you go, fuck, that was good. And you keep it going. The repetition's there. The support is there. And you go, yes, you do leave. There's a sort of like a falsified pink cloud after some of these workshops where you're riding like a pink cloud, and you're catching fire, and you get a little bit, most occasions, not everybody, but most occasions, you catch some momentum. You do catch a little bit of momentum, because it's like, wow, I was capable of like getting through all of that. Previously by myself, I ran to my escapes and I did what I normally do. I just go do my normal routine. I had no one to really hold me accountable. No one was holding me accountable, and you had nowhere to run. So you continue to fight through it and plow through. And the more repetition, you just, the pain of being rejected is really not as big as we think it is. Because think about it. If you really get blown out by yourself solo, you're just starting out, getting your feet wet, and you're so devastated by it. You go run and cop drugs and go play video games for 2-3 hours. You're just like, that's devastating, bro. So you're associating how bad of a blow that really was. And then then people are asking you, you're trying to analyze, like, why are you doing that to yourself? Why are you destroying yourself? Like, oh, well, I was rejected by such and such. It's an easy thing to point at, that's what caused it. But in fact, if you break those bad habits and you continually see, wait a minute, it's not the woman who's doing that. I don't need to go self-medicate after getting blown out 3 times. That's not, at least you could say, you might not have the answer, but at least you could say, that is not causing me to go do such a destructive self-destroying behavior like that, so.
Yeah, it's that. Let me show you. I don't know if you can see the screen because you're on your phone, but I'm going to share an article on the screen that Chris wrote. Can you see that? Even if you can't, at least the audience can see that.
It says face and smash your real issues. Nice.
The bit at the top that I just highlighted.
Okay. It says this process will strip you down and force you to confront your real issues. Dope. Yeah.
This was one of my favorite articles that Chris ever wrote. I read this article literally hundreds of times, man. Like, for all those moments where I was blown out, I felt rejected. I felt lonely. And this article basically explains, like, dude, that's what this is. This is forcing you to, like, you can't run away. Like, this process won't let you run away. You don't get to just like run home and self-medicate anymore. Like, if you actually want success, if you actually want to be happy and find some sort of peace with your goals, with whatever it is that you want, you're going to have to deal with the real shit. Like, And he wrote a list of all the stuff that can come up, like, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm a loser, I don't deserve this, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I'm too old, I'm too short, I'm too this. Like, all of that stuff can come up, all of the deep, like, negativity that we tell about ourselves, or the fears that we have about ourselves. Like, that shit's going to come up. And I don't think it's just getting laid and meeting women. I think it's like anything. You start a business, it's like a lot of doubts come up, and you're going to have to deal with them. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
because it forces you to get to the substance, as we keep saying, of who you are.
In most occasions, this is applicable to other aspects of life. It just so happened that maybe we may be more appealed to certain aspects and what brings us most joy, even if it's temporarily. That's why I think I had such drive in terms of sleeping with women. I felt like I was like so way behind the eight ball, and I put all my energy behind that. And I knew it would bring some sense of relief and joy along with it. So we really know inwardly, we think we don't have the answer, but we know certain things that are going to bring about, you know, even a sense of freedom temporarily connecting with a human being, you know.
It's an upgrade to where you currently are.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Yeah. Yeah. So I gave it all. So yes, it is. A lot of these mindsets are applicable to like whatever we're doing. But I truly think that's why the sex industry or whatever will always be a dominant force, because you get such a relief, and if you get a lot of benefits from it, even if the girl is not compatible with you and you will never see that woman again, you connected with that woman that one night that brought about really a deep sense of like even healing at the time. You know, I believe that at the core of my being, that this is like, you know, sex will always be a dominant force, even if it's a one night stand, you know.
And it's the person you have to become to, like, there's a huge element of self-improvement there too, like self-discovery as well. Like, you're not just going out and sticking your penis in a woman.
Yeah.
It's like you probably had to upgrade yourself and work on yourself and learn to love yourself in some capacity, or even just accept, okay, I deserve to at least have one woman have sex with me. Like, there's, in that admission, it's basically like, all right, I might have to get my shit together a little bit. I might have to decide to make the most of this life I've been given. I might have to be grateful for this life, like make the most of it and not just waste it. Like, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this has been good stuff. I think it's going to be, because like you said, I don't really have an official page where I have even stated that I do have coaching available. I might have mentioned it other than the podcast. I haven't made a post, or I don't have a website really. So
do what I said. If you want to, you do whatever you want. But
yeah,
how about I title this video "Scotty Now Offers Coaching"?
if you so desire, bro.
Yeah, we'll just call it that, and we.
If you so desire, yeah, man. I mean, I like these collabs. I've always got excited about like even working with other people or other people in the industry, or I'm calling it industry or community. I didn't even know it was still alive, quite frankly. And
it died so much since you've been gone, but then like it's come back. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the big names. I used to know a lot of the big names in the industry, and just like you know, I really have no hate towards any of these guys, unless I mean, don't get me wrong. In every industry, there's going to be some shadiness and some guys who are disingenuous and not really, you know, backing up what they're saying they can do or deliver or what they offer. But all in all, like, you know, the concept about working with somebody and getting you off your ass and breaking some of these bad cycles, as long as you realize you're the guy, you know, making those moves, I'm happy to see this industry like resurrect itself to a certain extent. Like, there's a lot of stains around it. I feel like, you know, even back when it was like very taboo, I felt embarrassed and ashamed to even say, you know, I did a pickup workshop, or like trying to explain it because it was so foreign. You know, a lot of people would ask about it. It was just like, it wasn't something I'm proud of. I really don't give a fuck now. I truly don't, for the most part. You know, I really don't. I just feel like, going from, you know, some of the places I've been, like, what is, I really don't have a lot of shame behind anything. Call me a fucking pickup artist. I don't care. If that's the dirtiest word, you know, that we could be labeled, then so be it. Go for it. I really don't care. I think it bothers Chris a little bit too. You know, we're not
because he's married, or
we're still human. You know what I mean? And we're not. There's this thing like, I want to get away from the pickup. It's got like some stain about it. I don't know, but. I have no shame, dude. If that's what the student feels comfortable with calling me or whatever, then by all means, I'm a pickup artist. I don't give a fuck what you call me. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, it's like, and I'll tell you this right now, the more YouTube videos you do, you are going to get called a lot of things.
Yeah,
it's not even a bad thing. It's just like people are just going to say random shit because it's the internet. So yeah. At some point I just embraced it too. I was like, whatever, just like call me whatever you want. I don't mind. Like, I know who I am. That's all.
There's so many more real people though, like on YouTube to me.
I feel like 99% of people are amazing.
Yeah. I think I've been very impressed by like the audience on YouTube as opposed to TikTok. It's night and day. It's also the content and I'll use this word, the merit I gained throughout the Scotty thing was more helpful maybe to humanity than I really was led to believe. A lot of people didn't even know this when we were did repeat sessions and stuff like that. They didn't even classify it. It was totally like someone was videotaping some of our coaching sessions, bro. It would be like, is this even a pickup? Like some of the times we weren't really doing it. That's not what the guy needed at the time. So it all needs to be, calibrated to the moment of what the guy needs, especially in those moments. Sometimes he needs a hug. I need a hug or whatever.
Dude, some of it's just mental health work. Hey, like you're just making some dude feel okay. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Like sometimes we're just connecting, Sadly, we are in a world of technology and the internet, and we all need to eat food, and stuff like that. So there is money involved, but by and large, we are all seeking something a little bit deeper than what the surface has to offer. I firmly believe that, and that's the beauty of coaching. That's why I am really and truly open to it. There was I could do it a lot smarter. There was a lot of legwork and labor that, like, dude, I was making some nice money, but I guess the amount of labor and legwork getting to places and driving to the city constantly I was a Long Island guy, and I would have to drive like 35 minutes all the time in traffic. And it was the whole lifestyle. I was making ends meet. It was nice, but I was also really enjoying what I was doing. But it was just, I could definitely schedule it and choreograph the whole thing better. You know what I mean? To make where you don't have to work as hard.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. And that's just literally exactly the thing you did with getting women. It's screening.
Right.
Like I said, I screen like fucking hard for my coaching program. So it's like, it's so unbelievably easy. Like I obviously pour my heart and soul into each coaching client, but it's like at this point, it's so easy. You could do the same shit. It's like you build up your audience, just kind of have an open mind and see where things go. But at some point it's like, yo, you guys come to me, or we do like a Zoom call or something. If you want me to go to you, then fly me out there. Like, you put stuff in place. So it's, because at the end of the day, like you want it to be the mindset I've always had with it. And I got this from this isn't my mindset. This came from a dude called Dan Henry, is like, you want to always be super grateful for your coaching clients. Like you want to be able to look them in the eye and be like, bro, I fucking love you. Like, thank you for paying my bill. Like you have no idea how grateful I am to you, dude. Yeah. Or like, in your case, it might be like, bro, you flew me out to your city. That's amazing, man. Like first round's on me, dude. Like I'm going to change your life or I'm going to try my best to change your life because like, bro, you've already changed mine. Like you're doing something for me. Let me do something for you. That's like a really nice relationship that you get into with your clients where it doesn't feel like a job anymore.
That's why it's just very
screening.
Yeah, it's screening. And it's very fulfilling. It's very fulfilling.
Yeah.
And that's why Chris was like, I'm not even advising that because I'm concerned that you may slip back into some of your old habits. But I'm like, deep down inside, if I do this in a smarter way, I think it's a part of my life that could be enriching and fulfilling and really could be helpful. I'm intrigued by still incorporating, even if, not making all of this about just internet content and doing the one-on-one and the connections, because like you said, bro, you said it best, like the connections I made, the friendships I made were great, man. Like that's what it was about. That was the substance. That's where the juice was. That's where I was getting a lot of the juice. I can make as many YouTube videos as I want. And even if Chris, I may just stick with that. And, it's a slow game, like he likes to say, like it's just, I think the juice is, despite of money, whatever, it's like really connecting with these people. And if they are indeed interested. And I think for the most part, the screening is these guys that do contact me, for the most part, I've had, they're pretty serious, for the most part. They are pretty serious. some want to just give it a try.
You already built a reputation.
Right. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Like you already gave a ton of value. And that's all this, like that's from Good Looking. That's Chris's words, not mine. It's like, give a ton of value. In other words, like help people, like give to people. And then it's like, that's your fucking reputation. People will take a bullet for you. And they would, dude. People will take a bullet for you. You, Bryon. Directly you. You just don't know that. Because I don't think you've ever said like, not that you'd ask people to take a bullet for you, but like, you know what I mean? I don't think you've ever checked. I think this is you now checking without knowing that you're doing it. You put videos up. That's what I'm talking about, man. Your very first couple of videos, there's like fucking 15 comments. Like when I started my YouTube channel, like literally zero for the first year. Like who the hell would comment? I'm a nobody. I hadn't given anything yet. It took so unbelievably long to get to a point where I thought one comment on one video was amazing. Your first couple of videos, there's like 5, 10, 15 comments per fucking video because you gave a lot to people.
That's
just
interesting.
Don't think that you realized that you did that.
It was a short-lived time, but I was really like, it was every single weekend. I mean, sometimes multiple times a weekend. I definitely was really into the coaching. I really was into working with these guys, and some of them were just old clients over and over again. But like, there was always new guys sprinkled in. Some of the steady guys that I loved to work with that wanted to continue the relationships, but just like, I guess that is some form of merit over time that you earned.
Yes.
So yeah. I mean,
Look,
I didn't, dude. I was a little worried about like what type of feedback I would receive, and
like
it was shocking. Back. Yeah, coming back, and like it was a little like I'm like, dude, I can't believe I'm still getting emails. Like I would just chuckle to myself, like I was removed maybe like 2 years in down here in Florida. I would just once in a while check my phone, and I'm still getting like, dude, are you still doing coaching? I haven't heard from you. Like I'm like, when is this actually gonna really and truly go away? Like, so it's kind of like. It feels good to know that is there because we can't see everything. Like you said, I would wish the whole time it was being recorded of how serious I was taking it or how much legwork I was willing to put in to go meet people and be very generous in terms of just like payment plans or whatever they want to do to try to just make this always take and abide what Chris said and like, don't make that your number one stream of income and you'll be good. Do it because you love to do it because that's who you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'll be, dude, you can't go wrong with that. You just can't. It's like, I was very lenient with that and I was okay with that because I was making other money elsewhere. And I guess you can make this your primary form of income, but I haven't done that yet. So it's worked for me. Whatever I get from it is just a nice bonus. And I would let, things such as a home or increasing the value, just a better product of whatever people get involved with that would be helpful to have, and having a home base or place where you feel comfortable enough to have guests over or invite people and to, I think is paramount. If you're just a tumbleweed and you're really just like a Rolling Stone, go from place to place, I do not have a pulse on Florida. I do not even feel comfortable really telling a guy, well, I guess we could, come to Jacksonville. Dude, it might be a bad experience. I don't know. Like I felt so confident with New York, taking a guy from here to there or calling a promoter, just knowing all the spots and just feeling like I'm in good control of my surroundings and where to go, where to take you. So the home would be a big plus. It would be a big help for sure.
Okay. Well, to show you, cause I think it surprises me. I understand it, but it fucking surprises me that you're surprised that people love you and that people think you really helped them and changed their lives. Cause to me, on the other side of it, like I was one of the people that you had a positive impact on. So from my point of view, I'm like, yeah, I just take it for granted that, Bryon must know that. I want to really highlight, I want to show this on screen. Everybody watching, it would mean a lot to me, and that's not me emotionally blackmailing you, but it would mean a lot to me. And I think it would probably mean a lot to Bryon or Scotty if you would jump on his GoFundMe to buy his dream house. I've already done a donation. A couple of other guys in my coaching program have too. If Scotty gave you value in any form, even if it was just a little bit of confidence, or he gave you some epiphany or permission to go out and go for what you want, give him $1. Literally just post just $1 fucking dollar. Everybody listening has $1. If you don't have $1, email me. I will send you $1 and then you can donate. But I want to show something, because you seem, like I said, you seem surprised that people love you. You seem surprised that you had a positive impact on people. I think if everybody who's watching this who feels like Scotty helped them, if they gave $1, maybe you'd see 50 or 100 $1 donations coming. You'd be like, fuck, man. Maybe I did actually have an impact. Maybe there's something here. Maybe I can help people. Maybe I can do my YouTube channel. So, guys, please fucking donate.
Oh man, definitely. I'm absolutely, and I appreciate that, bro. The plug and everything. And I'm not even on the fence with it. I'm already committed. I've taken some people on, and we'll see where it goes. So I'm already broke that threshold. I'm already kind of back into it. I just need to now just like make things more solid. I don't even have a page, for Christ's sakes, but like, or I don't have a landing spot. We can just, all we can do from here is improve quality of our meetups and the quality of our program, or whatever you want to call it, you know. And that's where that's over time. Yeah, and that's where I really eternally grateful to Chris, because he was able to, like what I'm saying to you now, like able to put this into words. So if we had this conversation, for instance,
pause, motherfucker, you are perfectly putting it into words.
Right.
How is this not you perfectly putting it into words? Right. You know what I mean? I'm not wrong, dude. I've watched so many of your videos, and I've just gone like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like, where was Scotty for the last 7 years? This is incredible.
But you're putting it in words. I hear you. But like, we would have this conversation, and next thing you know, it would be like written in paragraphs on his site, which was probably, I underestimated how big GLL really was and how big it grew. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I kind of underestimated how powerful and how big of a juggernaut it really became. So like the moment we had a great conversation, he put something on paper or made it into an article or just a little plug here and there, just a little plug, that went very far. That definitely went far. He definitely kept me busy, and I made it clear to Chris that I wanted coaching and bring on the clients. And that's what happened. I made it clear, and that's what we were targeting at the time. I mean, he and Good Looking Loser and the website definitely kept me busy for, I don't know, even, I never even realized, like, put the math together, how long that really did last, that stretch. Probably, like, I would say maybe it felt like 2 years. I would say a 2-year run. It was a short-lived run, but it was probably about 2 years of pretty consistent coaching, I would think. How long have you been doing this now with your website and stuff like that? If you don't mind me asking.
I don't know, 4 years.
Oh wow!
But the first 2 years, I had no interest in making money whatsoever. Like that was the last thing I could have ever thought. I was like, fuck no, I don't want to make money. Like,
yeah.
And then it was probably only like 2 years into it that I was like, shit, man, like I've already done a couple of coaching calls for free. Maybe they can just give me $10 and then 20 and then a little bit more and it just kept slowly going up. So at this point, I've done it for like 5 years, but only really the last like 2 or 3 where I've actually tried to make money.
Yeah. And I don't really count the year. I think I met Chris when I worked for Brad P. So that was for some reason I've separated the two, but technically speaking, whenever I got hired by him or whatever, like it was probably 2 years there and then maybe 2 years with Good Looking Loser. So something like that. Maybe it was a 4-year run of like really, living this and helping people and having some community, which is really a nice aspect of it, of having some community, because it's up to us, man. We are the world. I could go live in the mountains somewhere or just disappear, and it's it. No one gives a fuck and it's over. So it's up to me to really step back into whatever we want to do. The world is in our hands to create what we want to create and try to better it. I just dropped a video about that. It did not get a lot of views for whatever reason. It bombed, but like I was just saying basically that, like, we have to make like our intention clear, what we can create the stuff we want to create. And if it's, we're here to regain some sort of power where we could, and continue. I now verbalize this stuff like a lot. I'm talking to myself in the car or whatever, like, why are you doing this? It's more serious questioning myself now, and I'm getting better results because of it. Like maybe back in my 20s, I was more vague and more into the drugs and more into this.
Yeah,
and now I'm more like
life happen.
Yeah, and you're like just it's a different version. It may look like on the substance, if you're an outsider looking, oh, that guy's just fucking that girl. He's doing the same exact thing as that. But what led to that action from this guy and that guy was something totally different, and his intention and motivation is different. So that's where I think I've grown tremendously when it comes to entering the market, so to speak, or the field of like interaction and socializing with people and women, especially. So
yeah, you're definitely on a deeper level now, and I can definitely see you helping people on the deeper stuff. Like if you give yourself permission to do that. At the start, I didn't give myself permission because I didn't feel comfortable. I'm just like you and Chris. I probably got it from you two, where I was like, I only want to help people on stuff that I actually know, and I'm only going to talk about stuff I know. And so I didn't do any content about like cold approach because I was like, I've only slept with like 9 women from that. I don't feel like that's a big amount. So I'm just going to talk about Tinder. That's what I know. I'm really good at that. I'll talk about that. And I always talked about the stuff I wanted to, like, I felt like I could talk about. But slowly over time, I had more and more people, like, I realized the deeper stuff was almost more important, like the mental stuff, like all the stuff that we've talked about in this podcast. And I really slowly started giving myself permission to like help some people with that. And at first, like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a counselor. I don't know how to, but I would give little bits of advice on coaching calls. It sounds like you've already been doing that like in the past, but I can definitely see you getting to a point where it's like, oh, I'm not just like Scotty, the pickup artist. Like, do that. Great. But I mean, like, it's almost like you'd have even extra stuff to offer. Like, you could help people with mental health. You could help people who are depressed. You could help people going through substance issues. You could get people clean. It's like you have a lot to offer is what I'm basically saying.
Yeah,
and I think I could definitely see you opening up even just with your YouTube channel. Like most of the stuff you've posted so far has not even been about getting laid. It's been about like the headspace around getting laid.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And I think GLL kind of was like there was a broader spectrum beyond just our previous company in the pickup world that we all knew about. So that opened the door with, like you said, with other people, other clients or whatever who had other issues that half the times, like I said, if you had a video camera on us, be like, wait a minute, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you guys hugging it out? Or why are you doing like we spent more time doing this, but each situation is really different. You just have to navigate what the guy needs at the time and what he really wants. It's behind all the, it would be nice to, you made a video. Those things are like just the bonus of what you're getting in here and how you're changing inwardly about like the, sleeping with women is great. That's a great thing that comes along with it. I feel absolutely. It's a very, and your perspective through direct experience needs to change the way you view sex. And that's what I mean by like, no, I don't regret anything going through the 7 years of just like celibacy and going through psychiatric units, because now on the other end of that, with direct experience, I realized how powerful we each are and how powerful sex is, despite what may turn into that with that particular girl. We still are like extremely powerful. So I would have not had that experience had I not gone through the exact journey or whatever, the path I went down. So I wouldn't have had that direct experience of how powerful, how great it really is. We have a tremendous amount of power. And if I'm not getting those needs met, or like right now or whatever, when I feel it's necessary, that you realize you have an outlet. We each can change that situation. We can change those circumstances. So
you're never a victim. Yeah.
Right.
This was probably you've been one of the easiest people I think I have ever talked to. Not just on my podcast, like maybe in my fucking life. Like,
really, dude, you too, man. Thanks. I appreciate that, dude.
Easy to talk to.
That's money, man.
Let's plug you. So where can people find you? You're on YouTube. You're just Bryon Harris on YouTube, aren't you?
I'm just Bryon Harris. Yeah. Just Bryon Harris, man.
And you want to say your email address again?
Sure, man. It's bharris11501@yahoo.com. Just hit me up there. And what?
You're offering coaching. You're offering coaching.
Yeah, man. I'm offering coaching. customized to whatever someone feels they need, whether it's a Zoom call or I do prefer the in-person meetups. I think you can get more out of them for sure, just from my experience. But if someone insists that they would like to do that, I'm very flexible with money and stuff like that. So that to me is like the ultimate. If you have the ability, I'll be able to work with you. I think you can get the most out of that. If this is something that if you're listening to this podcast right now, you are like, in a similar headspace. If you've lasted this long, to what we are like have been discussing this whole time. So yeah, if you're interested and it's something you may want to try, like seriously, then contact me and we'll go from there. Again, that's the ultimate to have a one-on-one meetup and coaching. I don't even really like coaching, but whatever it is, I'm more of a wingman, whatever you want to call me, and you just want to get better results, especially when it comes to women and interactions, and can just connect with people in general at a deeper level. But as a byproduct of that, you will sleep with more women. You may even find yourself making more money. It may not even be your primary goal, but, you may end up seeing your life just change in different ways. So there's a lot of other benefits that do come from it. That may be your primary focus, but that is what's kind of happened to me right now. I mean, I'm just like going with it, but more money's coming in, more opportunities are coming in, things like that just naturally start to happen. If you make a point to be like, no, I'm doing this for myself, I'm going to really make an effort and change and try to break these habits. I deserve more, or like you like to say, I deserve, to give myself permission to go out and meet women and get quality women. I screen women and have that be in such a position of power where I have the ability to choose which one I want, or you can really have fun with this, and we all deserve it, each and one of us. And a lot of my videos of lately, since I'm getting back into it, it's like to, I guess, the average guy, like, damn, you've already put down 4, above average looking women in this short a period of time. Yeah, because it is like muscle memory. It really is. So it's not that I'm like, if we've put in work, we've gained some sort of merit. We've earned that through the years. And no matter how far away we are from it, it's like giving an old mechanic who is great at his craft, and we're throwing him a wrench, 5-10 years later, he's probably still going to be decent. Michael Jordan may fuck you up in a basketball game. He's been away from retired for a while, but like, he's still got it, dude. So that's the same thing. I feel I'm confident enough that, just from the little bit of success and being back out there, that I could do this without a doubt, man. Because I just know how much time I've invested in it, and it's just an updated version of Scotty, basically, or Bryon, whatever you want to call me. So
Scotty 2.0.
There's my plug, man.
Scotty 2.0. I will also leave a link to your GoFundMe. Again, guys, if Scotty really has had an impact on your life, or anything he did gave you any sort of value, please donate just $1 to his GoFundMe. More than anything, just to show him that we give a shit and that he had a positive impact on us. So I appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you, Andy. Thank you.
No, hey, listen, I appreciate how much you helped me. I don't think you understand how much you and Chris changed my life. And I'm going to be giving him the same speech. He's coming on my podcast, whenever he's got more free time. And I'm going to give him the same speech. But you guys both had a massive impact on my life. And you said before, you might find that this has more of an impact on other areas of your life. Mate, without the good-looking loser era, I wouldn't exist in this current form. I wouldn't be making any money. Well, I'd be making money, but I wouldn't be making it in the way that I'm doing it. I wouldn't have poured my life at this point into helping other human beings and trying to make their lives better. I wouldn't have been in that position of power, as you called it, where it's like, I get to meet my wonderful girlfriend and we have this beautiful, amazing, just precious relationship that we've had for the last 5 years.
Sorry to cut you off. I would work with you just based on your advanced relationship. A lot of guys would die to have that. That is a very
that comes from you, Scotty.
Yeah, that is an attractive position to be in. To be in a relationship where you two have so much trust together. I've seen you guys in videos that you have the ability to sleep with other women, dude. That is like I still like. I've done it, but not. I haven't sustained it. I've done it periodically, and whether I was, dude, the Scotty thing had so much other like drugs and stuff involved, but it was an I don't give a fuck, but not really in a good way. Like it was, you could have a not give a fuck attitude, and it's more of a positive thing. But the point is, what you have now is really solid. You're with a girl for a while, and you have the ability. Now you are altering how much more you want to incorporate other girls and stuff like that. But that's a dope position, man. That in itself is something that is I don't know. Most guys would find that very attractive and appealing situation to be in. Whatever label you give it, it's fucking dope. The substance behind it is like, all right, I got a great girlfriend. We have great trust, and we have the ability to still, sleep and bring other women into our relationship. That's top notch. That's the peak. That's like a top of the peak, the mountaintop, in my opinion. So I definitely respect that big time. I did it in little chunks, but to get back to that position, and I'm kind of there now. I think the girl I have now, I could easily, if I want, screen or not screen. I'm past that, but screen in terms of incorporating more threesomes and other girls, and still sleep with other girls, because that's not going away regardless. So that's just my standpoint. But I'm sorry for cutting you off, man.
All of that comes from you, man. All of that comes from you and Chris. Like that's what I'm saying. I don't think I'd be in this position. I don't think I'd have all of this if it wasn't for you and Chris. So if nothing else, I'm so unbelievably grateful that you guys put all of this stuff out into the world. I'll always be grateful to you both for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that too, from the bottom of my heart, man. Thank you.
Thank you.